Hey guys, I'm Emily from the Blue Mouse, and today I'm going to show you how to knit one color brioche in the round. One color brioche is exactly the same as two color brioche, but as the name suggests, you only use one color instead of two. So you'll need two balls of the same color yarn, and I suggest that you place a marker or a contrasting piece of string in one of those balls of yarn, because that is going to be your ball A and the other one's going to be your ball B. So an easy way to remember this is that whatever ball that you use to cast on, that is your ball A. And the one that you add in the setup is your ball B. So in order to get started, you'll want to cast on an even number of stitches, join to work in the round, and place a marker. So for setup row 1A, which is working with your ball A, the one that has the marker in it, you're going to be working a repeat of knit one followed by a slip one yarn over. So you start out by knitting the first stitch, and then you're going to do what's called a slip one yarn over. So essentially you're going to slip the next stitch purlwise with a yarn over. So bring the yarn in front of your right needle around to the back, and then you're going to go into that first stitch on your left hand needle as if to purl, but just slip it to your right hand needle. So you can see that that stitch has a yarn over attached to it, and now it looks like two stitches. That is still one stitch. And then you might need to hold that yarn over in place on your right hand needle and knit the next stitch normally. And then work another slip one yarn over. So yarn over first, bring the yarn in front of your right hand needle around to the back, and then go into that first stitch on your left hand needle as if to purl, but just slip it to your right hand needle. And then knit again. And you can see on here that that slipped stitch has a yarn over paired with it. The yarn over kind of crosses over it. That is what a slip one yarn over looks like. So you just keep working a knit one followed by a slip one yarn over until you get back to the beginning of round marker. Go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you here for setup row 1B. And when you get to the end of your round and you've come to the beginning of round marker, you're going to have a loose strand hanging in the back from your slip one yarn over. That's okay. You'll go ahead and slip the beginning of round marker. You can move your yarn to the back of your work, and then you're going to grab your ball B of yarn. So we're going to join this new ball of yarn. So I grab my working strand from it, and I like to wrap it around my pinky a few times because it gives it tension. So I place the strand above my pinky and hold it with my thumb, and then I just wrap around my pinky a few times, and then you can see that there's some tension there. So now we're going to work a repeat of a slip one yarn over followed by a brioche purl. So bring your yarn to the front, and what you're going to do is do another slip one yarn over for this first stitch. So it's the same concept as that first setup row, but it looks a little bit different when working a brioche purl row. So go into the first stitch as if to purl, and you're going to wrap the yarn over as if you were going to purl, but instead of pulling it through, you're just going to slip them both to the right hand needle. So you can see that you have two strands on your right hand needle there. And then we're going to do what's called a brioche purl. So this is exactly the same as a purl stitch, but instead of just purling one strand, you're going to purl this next stitch, which has two strands attached to it. That is because this is a slip one yarn over from the last round. So go underneath both strands as if to purl, yarn over, and pull through, and you've just purled them together. So you had two strands and now you just have one. So you just repeat that around. I'll show it to you one more time. Go into that next stitch as if to purl, yarn over, but just slip it to your right hand needle. Go into that slip one yarn over from the previous round, which is both of these strands, as if to purl, yarn over, and pull through, purling them together. And just repeat that around. So once you get to the end of row 1B, it can be a little bit confusing because the strand leading to ball A is just kind of hanging there, and sometimes it can fall to the front, and sometimes it can just fall over to the side. But just remember to hold that in the back and then work a brioche purl into those last two strands, because that loose hanging strand is still considered the yarn over from the last round. So when I'm working a brioche round, I like to keep my ball B either in front of me or just off to the side here in the back, closest to me. And then I like to keep my ball A up in front of me, either directly or just close up there somewhere. This kind of keeps the strands in line whenever you're working each round. Alright, so that was the 2 setup rounds. And when you're working in brioche, you have to work each round twice. You work it once with ball A and once with ball B, and that equals 1 total round. So when we say setup row 1A and setup row 1B, that's setup row 1A is worked with ball A and setup row 1B is worked with ball B. And now we're on to our actual round 1A. And we start with round 1A, which is our ball A, which has the marker in it, remember? So we're going to work a brioche knit followed by a slip-one yarn over. So you have the ball B yarn in your hand. You can just let that dangle out in front like this and go ahead and pick up your ball A yarn. We're going to work a brioche knit followed by a slip-one yarn over. So sometimes this first slip-one yarn over after working the setup may have fallen down. So if you only see 1 stitch as your first stitch, you're going to just want to find the strand that has fallen and put it back on. And that is from your tail from ball B. So to begin, for round 1A, we're going to work a brioche knit. So this first stitch has 2 strands to it because it's a slip-one yarn over from the previous round. So those 2 strands, you want to go into both of them as if to knit and just knit them together. And then you're going to work a slip-one yarn over. So when working a brioche knit round, you yarn over first. So bring the yarn in front of the needle around to the back, and then go into that first stitch on your left-hand needle as if to purl, but just slip it. So those 2 strands go together as a slip-one yarn over. And then we just repeat that. So we go into this next 2 strands, which is just 1 stitch because it's a slip-one yarn over from the previous round. You go into both strands as if to knit and knit them together. And then you work a slip-one yarn over by yarning over first, and then slipping the stitch, and you just repeat that. So go ahead and do that until you get to the beginning of round marker, and I'll meet you back here for round 1B. And again, when you get to the very last slip-one yarn over, you work it the same way, but you're just going to leave the yarn hanging out in the back. So you leave it just kind of hanging off in the back there, and then you slip your beginning of round marker and get ready to work with ball B. So pick up your yarn from ball B, and we're going to be working a slip-one yarn over followed by a brioche purl stitch. So we've already done a round like this, so if you remember, to work a slip-one yarn over on a brioche purl round or a ball B round, which are the same things, you're going to go into the first stitch as if to purl, yarn over as if you're going to purl it, but just slip it to your right-hand needle. And then this next stitch has 2 strands with it because it's a slip-one yarn over from the previous round. So you go into both those strands and you purl them together, and you just keep doing that. So slip-one yarn overs, go into it purlwise, yarn over but slip to the right-hand needle. And a brioche purl is going into both of these strands from the previous round and purling them together. So go ahead and do that all the way around. And again, when you get to the very last brioche purl stitch, it may look a little bit weird because this strand is just kind of hanging loosely, or it may have fallen to the front, or it may just kind of be fallen to the side. What you're going to want to do is find the strand attached to ball A and just kind of hold it there in the back so that you have those 2 strands and you can work your final brioche purl. And then once you're done, you can just repeat rounds 1A and 1B for the rest of your project. So when you're working with ball A, you are always working a brioche knit round, which means whenever you come to a stitch with 2 strands, you're going to brioche knit it. And you can tell that the column of stitches below it are knit stitches. And every time you're working with ball B and you come to a slip-one yarn over, you're going to work it as a brioche purl, always. So next round, when I come to work round B, this stitch right here is going to be my brioche purl, and you can see that those are purl stitches, not knit stitches below it. So that's just one easy way to keep track of it. When you're working with round 1A, those are going to be brioche knit stitches, and when you're working with round B, they're going to be brioche purl stitches. And whenever you come to a stitch that doesn't have 2 strands, that is always going to be a slip-one yarn over because you need to give it a buddy. So every time that you see a lone strand, you want to give it a buddy by yarning over and slipping it. So that is how you work one color brioche in the round. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.